Hello and welcome to Rap Attack, the Rankings Attack podcast. We've not had one for quite a while now because the fantasy season has been basically over. I'm Sam.
I'm Shane.
And we've got
Dave,
and it's going to be a bit of a different one today. It's the pub edition for a start.
Yeah, we are in a bar.
We're in a proper
it's dark
bar.
and smoky.
We've asked them to turn off the music, so you're not going to have anything in the background. And the plan of today is essentially, so Super Bowl's coming up. You might know that, you might not. It's going to be everything you've wanted to ask about American football, but we're afraid to ask. And we've got Dave, who we're going to throw it over to in a sec, who's going to ask us a series of questions for people in, especially the UK, I guess, and those people that live under rocks in North America.
Or even in Poland.
Or even in Poland. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, we'll take a couple questions in the bar, maybe, yeah?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. So no question is off limits, unless it's about like my wife, and then it's fucking off limits.
Damn
yeah.
straight.
Yeah, fine, okay.
We'll talk about Dave's wife.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
It's kind of hot.
So we'll throw over to Dave for the questions then.
first question is, how many points do you get for a touchdown?
Do you know what a touchdown is?
I know what a touchdown is. It's like a try in rugby.
More or less, yeah. So when you cross the line, right? When you cross the goal line, that's a touchdown, yeah?
Different being that you only have to cross the goal line and you don't have to touch the ball down.
Yeah, I mean, we even talk a bit about rugby, I guess, at the same time. In rugby, to get a try, you have to actually put the ball down.
Yeah.
So what if you cross the line in rugby and you don't put the ball down?
No try.
Dude, all right. So this is a bit like the Calvin Johnson rule in reverse.
How many points?
Kind of. Exactly.
How many points do you get?
So yeah, you get 6 points.
6?
Yeah.
6.
And
And then
I'm assuming you thought it was 7, right?
I didn't know how many it was.
Yeah.
6.
It's 6 for the touchdown,
And then you can choose to go for a 1 or 2 point conversion.
yeah. Up until this year.
You can choose.
You can choose. So
I
you
thought
can
it
either
was
kick.
obligatory.
No, you
you-
choose 1 or 2. Like,
So you can either do a 1 point conversion would be a kick
Yeah.
from the 25-yard line.
now. So this year,
Is that
we'll get into this.
included? Is that included in the touchdown?
What do you mean included in the
Well,
6
once
points?
you score the
So when you say
touchdown,
6 points for a touchdown,
That's
It's
what you
6.
get. Exactly.
that's it.
Like in
And then
rugby,
you
it's
get an
4,
additional-
and then like
then
in
you get
rugby,
initial
I know.
play. Yeah?
Yeah.
Then you get initial play where you choose
Oh,
to either try to
right,
score
okay.
another touchdown from the 2.5-yard line,
But you only get 2 points for that.
So in rugby, they call that a conversion.
Exactly.
don't they?
Right.
Exactly.
or you try to kick it. And this year, what they've done is they've moved it further back. It used to be an automatic extra point. I mean, literally, they scored,
97%.
I think it was even 99.
Yeah,
like it was
something
a
like
high
that.
percentage of kicks were good. If they went for the extra point, it was almost like an automatic extra point because you rarely missed. But this year, to make it more exciting and to try to force people into going for the 2-point conversion to make it more exciting, they moved the kick further back, but you still do the 2-point from the 2.5-yard line.
See, my eyes are glazing over.
Yeah,
Can
of
we
course.
move on?
We could, except for it actually was quite important in the semi-finals last week, or the conference championships, because a man who's pretty much automatic, Gostowski must be Polish.
Gostowski, yeah.
Must be Polish.
I guess with a name like that.
Hadn't missed a kick since his rookie year in 1990, whatever.
15
the hell it
years,
was,
whatever,
yeah?
or 10 years.
And he missed that point after last week with the extra length.
And if they'd scored.
And if they had gotten that, they could have got an extra point at the end and tied the game at 20, gone to overtime. But because they missed the single point, they had to go for 2, and their last touchdown, blah, blah, blah.
So-
and they lost 20-18. So it's actually quite an important question, my friend.
Okay, all right. So the next question is related to the touchdown thing. Because in rugby, I think now you can look at, because it's so difficult to see where the ball is. They use video replays.
right.
Can you do
Video
that?
referee.
In American football, can you do that?
Yes.
And if you can do it, is it something that the captain has to ask?
Yes. Again,
The coach. Yeah, the coach.
The coach has a little red flag.
That you can
waving
challenge.
Sandbag flag. He has to throw it onto the field to state that they're going to challenge the play. And they get 2 challenges per half, if I remember. I think
Something like that. 2 and you lose. So it's a bit like in tennis, whereby if you challenge it, and you can challenge it, and if you're right, then it's okay. But if you're wrong, then you lose
a
one of your
challenge.
timeouts
And
you,
the challenge.
and the challenge.
Yeah. So you have to decide. So it's, I mean, different
Whether you think it's worth
it. Different coaches are more aggressive with it. Some are very tentative using it. So it is actually
Yeah.
It's made the game more stop and start, but as it's already been.
It's already.
But it actually is another, let's say, tactical choice that coaches have.
But going back to the try or the touchdown, it's used on every single scoring
Play.
on every single scoring play. It's reviewed by the referees, but not
take
just
a
by
look.
the referees there. It's quite often also they're thinking about reviewing it centrally. So they're going to have like central referees in New York looking at all the matches at the same time. So that if there is a questionable call in any of the matches, they can go straight to the office in New York and say whether that was good or not.
That sounds insane.
Every score is reviewed. Plus,
I like it. I like that.
Plus, under 2 minutes, right?
And
each
under
half,
2 minutes,
it's up in the booth.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The main ref up top says if it's gonna, you can't challenge anything within 2 minutes because it's automatically challenged. Basically.
Okay, so the next question isn't my question, but it's from the bar.
All right.
But I'm interested in this, and the question is, why is it called American football when you only really see the ball being kicked once?
Every 10 plays, more or less.
Yeah.
It is
Shane,
interesting.
that one's for you.
Yeah, I mean,
You're the one writing the MA on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is an interesting question. Like, why do you say football? And why do we call your football soccer, right? And it goes back 150 years ago, my friend. And it's rugby's fault, to tell you the truth. Because there used to be just football, yes. And then rugby was invented, and they had basically...
Do you know where rugby was invented?
No, I know.
At rugby school. There you go.
Anyway, so then you split it into two. There was rugby football
Yeah.
and association football.
Because still, the RFA, which is the head of the rugby association, like the version of the NFL or the Football Association in the UK, RFA, it's the Rugby Football Association still.
All right, so you had the two. You had rugby football and association football. And it got a little bit confusing. It's rugby football, association
confusing,
football.
right?
You know, it was a long way of saying it. So actually, the Brits, you guys, came up with soccer from association football. The
I
word
know because
soccer.
I told you that.
Yeah, you might have told me, and my mentor told me as well. So the word soccer was invented by you guys, and for some reason at that time frame, the Americans picked up on the word soccer, and it stuck in America, whereas you guys went back to football to talk about soccer.
Right.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
But then why is it still called American football?
Well, let's say, I mean, it's obviously born of both soccer
Sure.
and rugby. Yes?
Yeah. And the game evolved.
And then they said, well, we'll just call it football. And they're
American
American,
football.
you know?
Fine.
I mean, we're not
just-
going to be more inventive
Okay,
than that.
next question. Is Dan Marino going to be playing in the Super Bowl?
No.
No.
He's been retired for a few years, my friend. The
It's
Dolphins,
impossible.
Yeah.
Dan Marino is American football. For people who don't
You
know
grew up in the
American
80s,
football,
yeah?
Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins.
You grew up in the 80s, I'm guessing.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, Marino
But
still
even
holds a
so,
few
Dan
records.
Marino is still the embodiment
Yeah.
of American football for someone like me.
Yeah.
Well, as always, though, I mean, the quarterback position is still the most important, right? I mean, this year we have a huge meeting between Peyton Manning and Newton, right?
Peyton
gonna
Manning's
say-
41, 40.
No, he's
something.
not. I think he's
Yeah,
39.
no, he's hit 40 now.
Is he 40?
Well, yeah, because he came in the same draft as Woodson. Woodson's
Yeah, but I
40.
thought he was 39. But yeah, okay, he could
anyway.
be 40 now. He's got a noodle arm, so who cares? But yeah, I mean, Dan Marino, if Dan Marino was playing, let's say Dan Marino was in Peyton Manning's place, I'd be choosing the Broncos this weekend.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Even with Dan Marino's age?
No. Dan Marino at 32, let's say.
Okay, fine. I thought you were like, because I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
He's
Dan
probably
Marino
still got an
53,
arm on
yeah.
him still.
Could Dan Marino still play? Well, if he was playing against the Denver defense, he'd be screwed.
He'd be screwed.
Yeah, but I don't know. So there'll be no Dan Marino, but there will be Cam Newton, who's even better.
Who?
Cam Newton. He's
Okay.
the quarterback for the
All right.
Carolina Panthers. Big
Yeah.
man who can run and throw the ball better than anybody else.
Oh, right.
He's fun to watch as
Yeah,
well.
he actually is.
He is actually.
Especially if you're cheering for him. If you're cheering against him, that's got
it's
to be the
no
most
good.
annoying person to watch.
But I
in the
was
crowd.
listening to, I can't remember which podcast I was listening to, and they were saying that if the Panthers win on Sunday, like his global stock, shall we call it? I mean, he's going to end up being the poster boy of American sports.
Yes. I mean,
Because MVP, and he's
Super
so
Bowl
It's an
champion.
MVP.
most valuable player. So it's a bit like getting man of the match award.
Okay.
So
season.
yeah, exactly. So in American sports, you get MVP of the game, and then you also get MVP of the season.
right.
So it would be
Player
like
of the year as
offen-
well.
yeah, exactly. So it'd be like player of the season.
So next question is, who will be performing at the Super Bowl? Because last year it was Katy Perry,
Uh-huh.
and she came in on a big elephant or something.
No, it was a lion or a
Tiger,
tiger.
yeah.
yeah.
Something like that. And then she had the two blue hammerhead sharks.
The sharks.
The sharks
right?
dancing.
There was like left shark, right?
Yeah, there was the pervy shark.
No, we don't have Katy Perry and her tracts of land, let's say, performing this year. We have Coldplay. I don't know what you guys think about
Music
Coldplay.
for bedwetters.
Yeah. I mean...
Well, no, I think their first and first album was a bit off. Second album I thought was quite good. Rush of Blood to the Head. I didn't mind that. And then they kind of went a bit...
But it doesn't seem to me that they're like a Super Bowl halftime act. It seems off.
They've gone a bit more kind of electro over the last album or so. And they're one of those
That's what all
stadium
bands do,
ones.
isn't it?
I have to admit that even
3 albums.
last year I was a bit disappointed when they announced Katy Perry, but the
Yeah.
actual show was... Let's face it.
So hang on, no, the Katy Perry was 2 years ago. Last
No, it
year,
was last year.
no, last year it was Bruno Mars.
No,
and
that
then
was
right
2
at the
years
end-
ago, dude. Last year was Katy Perry.
Was it?
Yeah, and Bruno Mars was 2 years ago. I think. Jesus,
No,
could
I
be
think it was
wrong.
the other way around. Katy Perry was 2 years ago. 1 year ago,
really?
it was Bruno Mars, and then they thought, shit, it's just Bruno Mars. We're going to get, we'll get the
Red Hot
Red
Chili
Chili Peppers to
Peppers.
come in.
That was last year?
That was last year, I think. I think it was.
Yeah, you
I
could
think
be right,
Katy
you
Perry
could
was
be
2 years
right,
ago.
you could be right, you could be right.
Pretty sure.
Bruno Mars
Alright.
was even worse than Coldplay.
Yeah.
Next
Oh, yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Why, when they advertise the Super Bowl starting at something like 12...
12:30.
Our time.
Why does it never start until about 3 o'clock in the morning?
That's because that's when it
And
gets
why does
interesting.
it like take?
Go on. So.
Why does it take so long for the match to end?
It
Well,
would be
it's not a
basically
match
like
to start with. It's
yeah.
a game.
It's a game.
They don't call them matches. It would be
Right.
like in rugby if the game clock stopped, or even in football if the game clock stopped every time the ball
will
went
be
out
at-
of play.
Kickoff will be at 12:30.
That's the reason it takes so long,
Yeah.
essentially.
Kickoff will be at the time it says.
Yeah.
But the game will just go for 4.5 hours. Yeah. Plus, there's an extra halftime. There's
4.5
more-
Do you think it's going to be 4.5 hours? Super Bowl.
More or less, yeah.
I get, yeah, because the half time's normally
Halftime's
extended. It's normally half an hour,
longer,
40 minutes.
And everything just takes a bit longer. I mean, it's not in New Orleans this year, thank God, where the lights can go off and they have to, like, stop everything.
Does that mean
after
I'm just not going to have any sleep?
Probably, yeah. It's Monday, dude. Whatever. You don't need
I've got
to
a
sleep
lesson
much.
at 9 o'clock.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
going to
have
get
to
home
teach
at
till-
5.
I don't have to teach till 5 the next day, so it's all good.
Okay, next question is why do American football teams refer to their the clothes that they wear as a uniform?
I think it has something to do with the fact that they all wear the same thing, so that you can tell which team is which.
Because it seems to me like they're trying to make themselves sound like soldiers.
Yeah, more military. You're right. I mean, there is a military angle to it, yeah.
And why do they have so many military things around the Super Bowl?
Well,
it seems
around
to
football,
me it's
right?
like the whole thing is trying to attract people.
Yeah, of course. It is an incentive to support the troops, right? Military flyovers,
Yeah.
troops on the field. It is.
But you're getting that in football as well in the UK.
Yeah, I don't
Because
like it.
in the FA Cup final, they had a fly past. Oh, I think it was the FA
Mhm.
Cup final last year. They had a fly past.
And they have like a
And then,
guard of
and then
honour
they got
now.
a
It
guard of
seems like
honour
they're
and stuff like
taking
that.
it from
And they've got
American
people, and they've got
Of course they
parachuting in with the trophy and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's becoming way too.
It's like
sort of-
Well,
politicised.
it's
really
the
politicised.
militarization
I know,
of
it's
sports, man.
glorifying it. Really is.
I mean, even if you watch the commercials, I mean, it's not as much anymore. But when I was a kid, I remember, like, be all you can be in the
That was the Navy,
yeah,
wasn't
in
it?
the Navy.
Yeah, the SEALs or
commercials
something
were
like
just-
that. Yeah.
They would hit you like you'd have a truck commercial, an army commercial, a truck commercial, armed guard commercial. I mean, this is
Then a fast food commercial.
of course yeah, fast food.
Because
so
that's where people
now-
go and work once they leave the army.
This year, yeah. This year it's more. These days it's more Viagra commercials or
Yeah.
what's the
Insurance.
other one? Yeah. But
Cialis.
Cialis, that's what I was thinking of. But
You,
I mean,
you know way too
Oh,
much
shit.
about that.
I wonder what.
well, no, I
which,
mean,
which brings me around to the next question.
Who has a little blue pill?
Well, who are your predictions for the winners? Who do you think?
yeah, who do you like this year, Sam?
Because who are the teams? 'Cause I
The
don't-
Denver Broncos against the Carolina Panthers. Do you know anything about any of those two teams?
I know something about the Denver Broncos. They
Yeah?
were quite good in the
They were,
1980s.
yeah. John
97.
John
Yeah.
Elway.
Is it the Windy City?
That's
No, it's
Chicago.
Mile High.
Ah, right.
Mile High
Far.
Stadium. Mile High Stadium. Yeah.
Windy City was the previous pub we were in.
Exactly. No, I think Carolina's an expansion team from about, 25 years ago, I would guess.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, Denver's got a bit more history. So yeah, we got Carolina, the Panthers against Denver.
We could break it down this way. If it was going to be a fight between a big cat and a horse, who would win?
Yeah,
Big cat.
a panther versus a horse, a bronco. Who would you,
A,
who
wi-
would you,
a wild horse
where would your money
versus a
be
black
Going by
cat.
the natural.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the most curious thing this year is the fact that the Broncos are back. Like 2 years ago, they were against the Seahawks. The Seahawks were the number one defense versus the Broncos, who were the number one offense. This year, fast forward 2 years later, you have the Broncos, who have the number one defense, against the Panthers, who have the number one offense. So it's like,
Do they actually have number one offense statistically?
yeah. Well, scoring.
In terms of scoring, to touchdowns, yeah.
I'm not sure about yardage, but yeah, scoring. They're
Right.
the number one scoring offense this year.
Huh.
So you have the Broncos, who have kind of retooled in the last 2 years, still with Peyton Manning with his noodle arm, who can still read a defense. He can still, he can, let's say, field general a game still,
Yeah.
right? But he can't win a game for you. But they have a defense that can win a game for them, which they proved last week against the Patriots, right?
It would be a bit like in football, association football, it would be like Chelsea over the last couple of years, like really stout defence and just relying on the fact that you're going to get someone to nick you a couple of goals.
Right.
Or a bit like Arsenal in the 1999-91 season. We let in 15 goals in the whole of this season, in 40 games, whatever it was.
I know. I saw them play that.
I mean,
Harry
Yeah.
Groves played.
Yeah, Perry Groves.
He scored a goal.
they're hijacking it to football.
Sorry,
right?
I'm
Soccer.
not. It's
Who are you picking?
allegorical.
Who are you going to pick?
I think. Oh, fuck. I think I really want the Panthers to win.
Okay.
I really, really want the Panthers to win. I'm not confident they're going to. I think it might end up being Broncos win via attrition. I think they're going to somehow
Like a
close down.
2017 kind of thing.
Even probably less, like a 14-10 or something like that.
Right,
I think
that
so.
looks good.
I think so. It could be. I think if Carolina get out into a lead like we saw in the conference finals, they got a chance.
Like they've done for the last couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
for the last couple of
They
weeks.
just jump out, right? I think Carolina could roll. I mean, Denver is a risk-taking defense.
Yeah.
I mean, if Carolina scores a couple quick touchdowns, if
That'll make it
get
interesting.
Ted Ginn,
Jericho Cotchery
yeah,
or-
exactly. Something crazy happens. I'm
Devin
picking the
Funchess.
Panthers. I'm taking the
You are
Panthers.
taking the
Oh,
Panthers.
yeah, I'm taking the Panthers.
Pink,
in
Pink Panthers.
23-17.
I do really want them to win. I mean, I know it's weird to have a second team or anything like that,
Right.
but I've been cheering for them most of the season. I think that I like watching them. I love Cam Newton, and I want him to kind of prove everyone else wrong. But there are a lot of naysayers and haters
Of course.
for whatever reasons against him because he's
Having
quite,
too much fun.
Yeah, he's quite brash about it, but I quite like it. Like he's always said, if you don't want to watch me celebrate, don't let us score.
Yeah, stop me.
Stop it. And I think that's a good way of doing it. Like if you don't like us winning, then stop it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're going to celebrate when we win.
Yeah, if they didn't score, they wouldn't be celebrating, right?
Exactly right. So it's your fault for not being able to stop them.
I think, I mean, with Denver, that defense, if they get an early turnover, Von Miller hits Cam Newton on one of his read options,
Fumble or something like that.
there could be an early turnover that I would say Denver's going to win. But
Yeah,
from the get-go, I would take the Panthers.
because they just come out so quickly. Don't
Yeah,
they?
exactly. There's too many guns, too many weapons.
So I would say my heart like 98% says Carolina.
Right.
I've got a sneaky feeling somehow Denver's get a chance to win it, and Manning will walk off into the sunset with a soggy neck.
Yeah, this is one of the sub-stories.
Subplots.
Right? Subplot, that's the word I was looking for. I mean, Peyton Manning has had, 18-year career, right?
Yeah, and 4 neck surgeries.
Yeah, he fused his neck. This should be his last game of his career. So imagine his last game being his second Super Bowl to tie his little brother for Super Bowl titles. And so there is something.
So there's some narrative going on there.
It's a nice story. I mean, I'm not a big Peyton Manning fan. Is the problem. So I'd like to see Peyton.
Dull as ditch water. I'd like the narrative to be absolutely blown out of the fucking water.
I'd love to see him get pummeled like
Pummeled.
Brady got pummeled last week.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun.
So somehow, I think Carolina's defense is better than New England's defense. So
True.
I do think the Panthers win.
Good.
Going away.
So
I
the
hope so.
Panthers.
I'd go Panthers as well.
You're right. Okay, so I'll go for them as well. What about the stadium? What's the capacity and where
They're
is
playing
it?
in San Francisco. Well,
Santa
are they playing in
Clara.
San Francisco?
They're playing in Santa Clara, which is next to San Francisco,
It's
about
like
an hour away.
43 kilometers or something
Something
from Fisherman's Wharf. I
Something
read,
like that. So I don't know what the capacity is. About 75.
It's the
Levi
Levi
Stadium.
Strauss Stadium. It's the name for the jeans. Yeah, I would guess 60, 70, right?
Something like that.
All I know with the stadium is it's hooked up for Wi-Fi. It's all because it's in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and because it only opened 2 seasons ago. Yeah,
so
2 years
it's a
ago.
Pretty new stadium for rich people, moving out all the homeless people. This has been
This is in the subplot in San Francisco.
Is it near San Jose?
No, that's down in the south.
Yeah, other direction.
Yeah, San Jose's down towards San Diego.
Is it?
I think so.
The Sharks play there. That's all I know.
Question for geography students.
Will they play under floodlights?
Yeah, the game should. Well, no, because it's early.
Right,
yeah?
it'll be because it'll
San
be a
Francisco.
3 o'clock. No, it'll be a 3 p.m. kickoff there.
So yeah, 3 p.m. So the game should go till 7 o'clock. The lights
So it
will
might
come
be
on.
dark at 7. Yeah,
but
something
yeah,
like
it'll
that.
be a daytime start, which is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's not normally a
for Super
daytime.
Bowl, yeah.
It's very rarely a daytime Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
we were thinking it was going to be a crazy start.
Yeah,
time
for
this
some
year.
reason I got that all because I thought it was going to. For some reason, I don't know why, but I was looking at the time clocks and I read that it kicked off at
Like 6
12
a.m.
o'clock or something like. Yeah, and I thought it was 6 o'clock there. I don't know. I got it wrong,
Right,
and we
we-
worked it out that it would have been a 6
For
o'clock
a
in
while,
the
we
morning
were thinking we
kickoff.
were going to have like a brunch, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that
a
was it.
Super Bowl brunch.
Yeah.
But no, it's going to be a 12.
No, other way around. We thought it was going to kick off at 12 there.
Right.
So it
Making
would have
it
been
6 in
sort
the
of
morning here.
Yeah, or 9 o'clock there, 12 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock here.
Yeah.
So it was going to be a breakfast thing.
But that would be weird.
But that would be weird.
I've
So-
got another question,
All right.
which is probably the most ridiculous question that I've got.
That's what we want.
How many players are on per team?
Per team, on the field at
On
one
the
time, or per
field,
team?
On the field.
On the
11.
field.
Because it seems to me like there are about
100?
50 people for each team.
53 actually.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there's so you-
11 guys per team on the field. Yeah.
So 11 aside.
Yeah.
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 But
Sound
you have
familiar?
but you have a 50
Sound familiar?
but you have a 53 man squad.
Yeah.
53.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got
Isn't that
offense,
excessive?
defense. Well, think you have offense, completely 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense who are completely different. Right? Nobody played well. There's a couple who go
Very
both
rare
ways.
for a few snaps.
And then you have to have a backup for each of those positions, basically, right? Because it's a pretty violent sport. People get hurt lots, right? Plus, you have special
Yeah.
teams.
It would be like going to every single. Yeah, it's a bit like going into. Again, to make a sort of to compare it to soccer, it would be like going into every single game with like your World Cup squad of 23, and you could actually use any of the substitutes, like you would in a friendly or something like that.
So it's unlimited the amount of players that can be swapped.
Yes. Yeah, you just
yeah, take guys in and out
Yeah.
all the time.
yeah,
Okay.
like
But you
even
only dress 53 for the day, right? There's
In uniform.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Nice, well done, my friend.
So yeah, that's got to be an expensive thing to run, hasn't it?
Well, especially when they have to take the game, for example, across the ocean to the UK. They play 3 or 4 games there a year now. It's a pricey proposition.
Do you think that American football can ever be successful outside of America?
I think I'll throw that over to Sam because he's a British American football fan.
When I say like successful, I don't mean
you mean a team there?
well, obviously
'Cause
the
they're-
Super
they're
Bowl's
planning
Super Bowl's a massive
Yeah,
sport, but I'm talking about like grassroots.
that's the
where
problem.
the kids are going to start playing it.
Well,
'Cause when I was at
grassroots,
school,
no.
when people said like, "Let's play American football,"
Did you actually play in school?
yeah. A few kids really wanted to play, and then everyone else was like,
Don't want to play.
You had like 3 people who were like, yeah, let's do it.
yeah.
We had.
and nobody knew the rules.
I know it's becoming
Right.
more and more. It's becoming more and more interesting, or more. There's more and more interest at a college level, university level in the UK. Like most universities in the UK now have an American football team. Well, quite, yeah, I would say.
Okay.
I was actually part of my university team that started it up, and we started up as a flag football team. And in the second season, we got our kits and stuff like that, and we
You
played in
said kits. Did you hear that?
uniform. Sorry, and we played in the British Universities American Football League.
Right?
And what is a kit?
A kit is the equivalent to a uniform
Why do you call it kit?
because it's a collection of different sporting
It's just a word.
apparel. Like you've got shorts, socks.
Yeah, but who coined the term kit?
I have no idea, but I don't think
Was he
it's
a
got
Knight Rider
anything
fan?
to do with Knight Rider.
Disappointingly. So going back to the question, I think you, as a grassroots sport, no, but there is probably enough interest in it so that you could have a permanent team in
Yeah,
London.
we've had this discussion. Like, there will be a team in London.
Yeah, within 5-10 years, I think. 10
Let's
years.
say 8.
8. Okay, yeah, well, probably 8, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Like within 5.
before 2025,
I'd say within
2022ish.
Yeah, I'd say within probably 5 years you'll have an agreement in place, and then it'll be another couple of years for them to either build the stadium or to agree with Wembley whether they're going to play this there.
How many
'Cause
games are they playing this
They're
year?
playing three at the moment.
Right.
3 this season just gone, plus 3 next season, and I think there's going to be 3 the season after, and then they want to increase it to 4.
Because they're going to another stadium as well, right?
They're going to Twickenham
Yeah.
as well. They're playing one at Twickenham this season, but they want it. But the season after, in 2 years' time, it's going to be split between London and White Hart Lane.
How many games?
There's going to be 2 and 2.
Okay.
I think so. There's going to be at least one game, or at least maybe 2 and 1. But there's going to be one game at White Hart Lane because Spurs now have kind of linked up quite a lot with some American partners, and they have, when they come over for the games, they use some of Spurs' training facilities.
Okay.
So that's why they get it. And actually, one of the
Same owner? Or?
no, but Fulham's the other. Shad Khan is the owner of Fulham,
Okay.
and that's why the Jaguars play at home.
Exactly.
They play their home game.
Okay, next question is: are there any foreign people appearing on either team or in any capacity?
Yeah, there's Canadians,
See.
for example. I mean, the
Canadians.
Super Bowl, I don't even know.
In the Super Bowl, probably.
God, I
not.
haven't looked at the rosters, but I would assume there's a Canadian in there.
Well, like in
There's
basketball,
probably
you
a
get
Brit.
players, don't you?
Brit, no, they're not in this one. There's a Brit playing for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, the running
There's
back.
a JJ. There's
Yeah.
a Brit playing for Dallas. There's a Brit playing for.
Good offensive lineman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a Brit playing for the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
The LA Raiders. The Oakland Raiders.
Almost LA Raiders.
Menelik Watson. You've got a Brit who was playing for San Francisco, and actually Lawrence Okoye. He actually used to play rugby, and then won an Olympic medal in London. He was a discus thrower, and then he decided to jack it in and try and play American football. And
Yeah,
there's
but-
actually a guy that's Polish as well. Plays for the Vikings.
Okay.
Polish guy.
I mean, we're not talking
he-
about Janikowski and
No,
Raiders.
I'm not talking about an American Polish. No, this guy he's half Nigerian, half Polish.
Okay.
And he plays.
half Nigerian, half Polish.
Yeah, because I was watching an advert. I was watching.
What's his name? Yeah.
Oh, I cannot
He
remember.
plays for who? Chiefs?
No, he plays for the Vikes.
Vikings.
Last season, he definitely played for the Vikes last season.
Cool. I gotta look that up. Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine. I mean, there usually is a foreigner or two, but 97% American. Often there's some like Pacific Islanders.
Yeah.
involved, right.
Exactly.
But
So, next question is: I often hear about when I'm watching an American football game, they talk about rushing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It means running with the ball. So instead of having it being thrown to you,
yeah, you hand it to a person. You're rushing yards. You're talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
The rushing attack. And this is all about running the ball.
And this is what?
Versus, so there's basically when
Is
you're
this
on
good or
offense.
bad?
On offense, you have two choices:
Depends
you
how
throw
good
the
your
ball
running back is.
or you run the ball.
Yeah.
On every play, basically, right? So one choice is to run, and these are it's called rushing. So the quarterback takes the snap and he hands it, or maybe he throws it backwards to a running back who will run the ball, and this is called rushing.
Yes.
To rush the ball.
it's harder to get more yardage.
Yeah, it's more about ground control, controlling the clock, slower offenses,
And it's lower risk.
Yes.
And also, is it legal to pass the ball? Because whenever you see the quarterback, he's the man who gets the ball.
Perfect.
and-
Yep. That's the right term.
Like Dan Marino.
Dan Marino was a quarterback.
So when he gets it, usually he just either throws it long or sort of really short, and then it ends up in a big mess. Why can't they just like pass to each other? Because it seems to me like in rugby you can create more.
Well, you can.
You can only
but
throw the
is
ball
it possible?
forward. You can only throw the ball forward once from behind what's called the line of scrimmage, where they start.
All right,
Where you
okay.
start the play from. You can only throw the ball forward once.
After that, you can throw it backwards.
You can throw it backwards.
You can.
Yes,
like in
So
rugby.
why don't they?
Because it's
Risky.
risky. You can drop the ball by accident.
Surely, if you've got a skillful player
Yeah.
who's good with like avoiding people, who can pass, and you've got other skillful players, then you're actually increasing the possibility of being able to score.
To move forward, yep.
But
But
you never
because
see
football
it.
is a
You
very
never see it.
Well, you see it in the last play of the half, or the last play of the game, for example.
As a
So-
risk-taking play,
So
because
something
it's
you'll
high
do-
risk.
Exactly. It's something you'll do when you need to take a risk to do a big play, right? To make a big play. But generally, they won't do it because of the chances of dropping it, fumbling the ball, are very high. And you don't want to drop and fumble the ball. It's called a turnover. And turnovers change the game because the other team gets possession of the ball. So you never want to increase these risks,
Yeah.
unless you have to.
You don't want to give you don't want to give the ball away in your own half.
You're right. The game would become more exciting if you did more rugby-style plays.
But then, but American football is generally quite conservative
Very, very. It's a very conservative.
because there's so much at stake. So it's like the FA Cup final. No one goes attack heavy in the FA Cup final.
It's all about controlling the ball, being conservative, like we just said.
All right. So, what does the winning team get?
Sex and glory, yeah.
Definitely sex. Probably glory.
There is money involved.
You get the Super Bowl
I don't know-
trophy.
yeah,
Actually, not that much.
No, it isn't. It isn't a huge thing. If you're making
Comparatively.
$10 million a year, I think it's something like $50,000 a player.
It's if it's $50,000 a
Throwing
player.
a number out there, I have
And
no
it is,
idea.
it's something $50,000 a player, but for the Pro Bowl you get 30,000,
Right.
which is ridiculous.
Which is like the all-star team.
Yeah. So they get obviously, but that's like a bonus, right? Plus, so that's what they get paid.
Plus the Super Bowl ring, my friend. They get a ring.
What's the Pro Bowl?
The Pro Bowl is like the All-Star game, so all the best players play
They go
against
to
each other once a
Hawaii,
season.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in basketball or ice hockey or baseball or something like that.
Yeah, that's something.
And the fans vote.
The big thing with the Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl, you can say you've won the Super Bowl. You get a ring, and now it's part of your
Yeah,
legend.
it's like your history. It's like,
I mean, you talk about quarterbacks, for example. Peyton Manning, he's only won one Super Bowl, even though he's considered to be maybe the greatest quarterback of all time. But he
Brady
won't be.
would
But he won't be considered it because of the fact he's only got one Super Bowl.
and his younger brother has more Super Bowls than him.
Exactly. Eli.
Okay, next question. Is the Will Smith film about American football any good?
Not seen it.
I haven't seen it either. He's talking about concussion. We should all watch it. But apparently,
The accent apparently isn't very good,
Apparently, nobody saw it.
but apparently it's not bad. I mean, it does throw up quite a few. I mean, there's obviously massive questions about it, but
Yeah, I mean, the whole concussion problem is a problem for even a fan of the sport. I mean, we're watching people do something that is going to make them die
earlier,
15 years younger than they would otherwise.
early
Yeah,
onset
I don't
Parkinson's,
remember. Exactly.
stuff
so, I
like
mean,
that. Yeah, there's a level of cognitive dissonance required.
Yeah, you have to. You have to, like, separate yourself from it. So I think
Yeah, you
watching, I'm planning on watching it sometime after the Super Bowl. But I've always thought of the CTE, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This
Something
brain,
encephalitis.
Yeah, it's an impossible word to pronounce.
Yeah.
Something
Wouldn't
like-
it be better if they played on? Because whenever I watch American football games, generally,
The
more
artificial
often
turf,
than not, yeah, it's an artificial turf. Why don't you just play on grass?
Sometimes they do.
Yeah, I'd say about 3/4 of the stadiums now, probably 2/3. I mean, I'm
Third
guessing.
generation, some turf, yeah, maybe half.
Because it would like lessen.
You're right.
Not really.
I mean, they're really. I mean, the NFL is doing it all
Because it's
they
the helmet to
can.
helmet
Yeah.
hits. I mean, it's not falling on the
right,
ground. It's the helmet. It's being
It's
hit
more
in the
about
head.
a 200-pound man and a 200-pound man running at each other really fast, head first. This is what causes
That's the
most
thing that
of
causes it.
And they're trying to cut down on these things, but it's making the game more complicated.
Like the fridge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you remember the fridge? Nice.
The giant. What was he?
William the Fridge.
The
Bear.
Bears, the Chicago Bears, yeah. Perry. Yeah.
And right, okay, so
Father of
why
Katy Perry.
Why
That'd be
do
cool.
That's not true.
American football teams change homes so frequently?
They would say that there's not
I
a
think
big
this-
enough, like there's not a big enough fan base. They're not making enough money. Quite often, though, I mean, and that's normally the reason they go.
Why do they move from team to team? I mean, you're talking about as a British sports fan, you find it completely incomprehensible that a team can go from one city to another city. Like, how can you support a team that has moved from somewhere else?
Yeah, yeah.
It's artificial.
It seems quite, just like the sport's quite transient.
Yeah, of course it
Absolutely.
is. I mean, we got it this year with St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
The Rams
Moving
are
to
moving
LA.
moving back to LA. This is a funny story. I mean, we used to have the LA Rams years ago, and then they moved to St. Louis and became the St. Louis Rams because the St.
20,
Louis
22
Cardinals,
years, 23
because the St. Louis Cardinals moved to Arizona. And so now the St. Louis Rams are moving back to Los Angeles. So imagine you're a Rams fan growing up as a kid. Your team moved to St. Louis, and now they're moving back to Los Angeles. Yeah, you're right.
And the way they do it is like they will screw the local administration and say, right, you pay for because these things bring in billions of dollars for the local economy, right? They employ thousands of people. It's kudos and everything like that. So they'll say, right, our stadium's a bit shit. Local government and businesses.
Tax break, please.
Tax breaks. Build us a new stadium, or we're going to fuck off.
Yep.
And sometimes they will, and sometimes they won't.
Basically, they're holding cities hostage. Saying, I mean, Minnesota is the perfect example,
Yeah.
right? Like, build
Probably
us a
also
new stadium.
Detroit.
Oh yeah. Build us a new stadium, pay for it, and give us a tax break, or we'll move to another city. So it's actually
They're forcing them to
Yeah, absolutely.
invest.
Because they look at they look cost benefit analysis. Right, it's going to cost us $750 million to keep them here, but they bring in X number of things
Well,
anyway.
and plus, it's like having your city's name on the radar internationally or
And,
nationally.
and it's not like the owners are always billionaire owners, so it's not like they can't afford to pay for it themselves. They just want someone else to pay for it.
Of course.
Is there one team like in baseball? You've got the New York Jets.
Yankees. The
that's
Jets
it,
are a
yeah.
football team, though. Nice job, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. See, I'm learning. But like they dominate, don't they? They're known as like,
Yeah.
They transcend the sport.
Yeah.
they're like the mafia.
Well, so
And they own all the commercial or the catering rights for all the other teams as well. So is there one team in American football that kind of like resembles that?
I mean,
In terms
the
of
Cowboys
cultural-
are America's
yeah,
team. right?
Cultural dominance, I'd say, yeah.
The Cowboys. But
Yeah.
in terms of play, it's the Patriots for sure.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
New England Patriots have become the dominant team of the last 20 years almost, right?
15,
Thanks
20,
to Tom Brady, yeah. Every year they're one of the 4 best teams. Every year. The last 15 years.
And in a sport where it's generally parity is there most seasons,
Yeah.
and you have a lot of turnover.
Compared to soccer or Premiership football, we have, I mean, teams go from the bottom to the top quickly in American football, right? I mean, you guys this year have Leicester. Damn it! It looks like Leicester, by the way.
Leicester.
But this year you have a weird Leicester thing. But every year you usually have 4 teams.
Normally it's the
that
4
win.
teams, yeah, exactly.
In American football, generally it could be anybody, plus the Patriots.
Plus the Patriots, yeah. So if you're winning 3 or 4 Super Bowls in a decade,
Yeah.
you are a dynasty.
Yes. Which is the Patriots.
Yeah.
Dynasty or dynasty?
Dynasty.
British dynasty, American dynasty.
That's probably a pretty good place to stop, I'd say.
Exactly, yeah. All right, so on that note, we'll leave it. We're going to be back with you frequently or possibly infrequently over the off season. We got some podcasts planned on touching on some non-fantasy issues, I guess.
Oh, that reflects fantasy.
reflect on
issues,
fantasy
obviously,
as
yeah,
well.
like coaching changes.
Yeah, we might come back with
free
you after.
agency,
Yeah.
the draft. There's stuff to talk about, my friend.
And our trip to the NFL match.
We're going to a game in October.
Anyway, for now, it's goodbye from me.
And for me.
Ta-ra.